here with the very latest on last night's horrific crash. Aviation attorney Sal Lagonia is with us. Also, former Black Hawk helicopter pilot, retired Lieutenant Colonel Darin Gaub is with us. Colonel, let's start with you. You've flown these Black Hawks. You know a lot about them. Tell us, how is this even possible?
Yeah, good evening, Sean. And of course, at this time, too, I think we need to recognize that there is heroism still taking place on the ground. But what I see frequently as I've been watching this and analyzing things for the last 2 days or last 48 hours at least, since this happened, was two major things. One, I believe that there is a procedural error or problem here. Somebody violated the rules and procedures that surround DC's national airspace. And that means, for example, like this Black Hawk helicopter, it could have broken the altitude restrictions on the air corridors that go down the Potomac River. I've heard reports now that the aircraft was up at near 400 feet or so when it was restricted to be below 200 feet. That can cause serious problems when you've got fixed-wing commercial airliners landing over top of you that are counting on you being 200 feet lower than you might actually be. Second thing is communications. Clarity to standard air traffic control communications goes back to all the stuff you just listed about hiring practices within the FAA and personnel shortages. Some of the communications I've heard and recordings I've heard lead me to the conclusion that there was significant communication challenges where I believe that helicopter thought it was able to go behind the aircraft the FAA, the ATC told them to, and in fact did not see the aircraft the ATC actually wanted them to go behind, because there's two aircraft in that video, one on the takeoff. I think they confused that one for the one they were supposed to be looking for.
Sal, let me ask you, John Solomon reporting last night's mid-air collision preceded by months of near misses and safety warnings. 2023, 19 near misses, one of the largest totals in many years. The same happened last year, including at Reagan International. Federal officials investigating. New York Times now saying control tower staffing at Reagan National was not normal during the crash last night. One air traffic control worker managing the helicopters and the planes, a job for two people. Can you explain that to me? How is that possible?
That's just should not be possible, Sean. When I heard you reading off that list just now, I'm sitting there checking my list because that's probably what I've been talking about for the last 3 or 4 years. We don't have enough air traffic controllers. We've had a pilot shortage. Whenever you have all of these things piling up on you, there's no instant fix. You just can't throw a switch and have another 2,000 air traffic controllers. It's going to take 3 or 4 years to train all of those guys and gals to the point where they can actually run a cab at an airport. And, if the reports are true that we heard that they were so understaffed at DCA, especially at DCA, where you have helicopter traffic mixing in with fixed wing traffic, it's difficult on a good day. It is horrible at night. And that's what they had to put up with last night. And that's the result is tragic.
Colonel, let me go back to you. Again, the shortage, one person doing two people's job, number one. Number two, if you go back, to what was taken down 2 days into the Trump administration, the FAA push to hire workers with severe intellectual disabilities and psychiatric problems at the FAA. Can you explain that to the American people and these families that lost their loved ones?
Impossible to explain, only can be disgusted. And I think that's universally shared across the country right now. Hopefully it is. But, 100% correct there that the pilot shortage is one problem, but it takes just as much training, by the way, to get an air traffic controller up to standard and operating the way they're supposed to be. And no air traffic controller, no matter how good they are, can handle the DC traffic by themselves. And that's why the communication issue sticks out to me as a major problem in this incident. And we've been playing with fire in the DC national airspace for a long time with all the people I've been talking to. They've been wanting to warn about this, but most of them have been forced to be kept silent.
Yeah, and Sal, I have friends of mine that are pilots, and they've been telling me for the longest times, you know, flying into New Jersey and New York airports has been difficult. And as the president described today, they fly around in circles because they're not ready to receive those planes because they're not prepared. So this has been going on for some time, hasn't it? Little comfort to the families, but
yeah, when you
know, we want to prevent it from ever happening
family,
again.
But when you talk about the go-arounds and the missed approaches that occurred over the last few days, that means there was too much traffic in a certain area that they just couldn't get them into the airport. I fly almost exclusively in the Northeast. And when I'm flying here, this is the busiest area to fly anytime. You are counting on the air traffic controllers to do their job. You're also counting on your fellow pilots to do their job, because they have to do, we're kind of self-regulating. And so I've got to know that they're doing the right thing as well. So any of the shortages that we've come up with over the years, we've got to correct them now, because it's going to take 3 or 4 years to catch up.
Wow, that's scary. All right, thank you both. We appreciate it, Darin and Sal.